Multiple moves are imminent for the Houston Rockets as the Houston Chronicle reports the two next steps that GM Rafael Stone is going to make, and why one of them has Rockets fans in a frenzy. We give you the details in the breakdown right here on Rockets Digest. Hello, everybody. I'm your host, Donovan Ricondo. We appreciate you joining us as always. This is your channel for Houston Rockets news. It's going to be right here, and if you want to stay in the loop, go ahead, hit that subscribe button below for news such as this one right here, where Danielle Lerner from the Houston Chronicle had this to say earlier today, saying that Houston is expected to waive Jock Landale before his July 7th guarantee date and could also trade Cam Whitmore in exchange for, get this, non-player assets. Again, that is from the Houston Chronicle earlier today. Now, I mainly want to focus on the Cam Whitmore situation. It's been a hot topic for Rockets fans for a very long time. But first and foremost, there's two pieces of this news, right? There's Jock Landale and Cam. First, let's start with Jock Landale. Jock Landale, served as a third string big for us last season. Didn't play much, didn't really get on the court, only when Steven Adams or Şengün was hurt, or when it was a garbage time situation. You see here 4 points, 3 rebounds per game. He shot fairly well for the times that he was playing on this team, and so I have nothing but respect for Jock Landale and his ability to contribute in the ways that he did. But ultimately, I'm not mad about it, right? Like I don't think he's a key piece that we absolutely need to have. I don't think anybody really thinks that, especially after we just re-signed Steven Adams, after we acquired Clint Capella in a sign-and trade with the Atlanta Hawks. Like we're good at the center position. We have the guys we need, and so to me, this move makes sense. It's something that I think this team pretty much has to do, save up some money for whatever future players you want to bring in, or just money to have. And so good luck to Jock Landale. Hopefully he finds his next team, but next year he will probably not be playing in a Rockets red uniform. And so that is the news on Jock Landale. Now, Cam Whitmore. What in the world is happening with this situation? A lot of Rockets fans, especially right here on this channel, I see the comments, I see what everybody says, right? They are invested in Cam Whitmore. They cannot believe, why are we pushing this guy away? I want to take you to his stats. What do they look like, right? Again, this is another guy who didn't really play much last year, only played when guys were hurt, could never really crack the rotation. 9.4 points per game. Solid offensively. I mean, really and truly, he's got the stuff. He's got the goods to be a very, very good player. And the other thing I want to highlight, right? He's only 20 years old. I am 22, and he is in the NBA. He's 2 years younger than me. He is a fantastic NBA player. He's very, very young. He's only going to get better. And from the perspective of a lot of Rockets fans, is why aren't we just being patient with him the way that we have with, Alperen Şengün, and Thompson, to an extent, Jalen Green, and then eventually, when you score only single digits in 4 or 5 playoff games, then, you're on your way how we're going to get Kevin Durant. But nevertheless, patience was a key thing for this organization for a long time with those two players. Now, ultimately, we all know that there's been some, let's just call it some internal conflict with Cam Whitmore and the coaching staff, and Ime Udoka was also caught surprise, when Cam Whitmore after a game kind of questioned his role on this team and whether or not he belonged here, or what he was doing there, why he wasn't getting minutes, blah 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 blah, and that all caught Ime Udoka by surprise, basically. And just to give a reminder of what he said in terms of those conversations and in that press conferences, again, this was earlier last season, saying, quote, "I was a little caught off guard by that as well, because we've had in-depth conversations with Cam, probably more than anybody. I'm pretty clear with what is going to get you on the court and what's going to help you sustain a role." He continued, "We're very clear with what's needed, and opportunities are there and not always taking advantage of, or other guys step up and play a little better at times, and you look for that consistency there. A ton of potential there, just the consistency is the main thing, and he knows that," end quote. And this has been the knock on Cam Whitmore, right? Is consistency. Yes, he's a young player, and they play a very tight rotation in Houston, and so his minutes weren't necessary, right? But at the same time, the minutes that you do play, are you being consistent? Are you being a reliable go-to guy in the minutes that you play, right? You are a role player. You are there to serve a role. If you're not doing that, then by all means, you're not going to play those minutes. And ever since that moment, right, it's always been this kind of like constant conversation with Cam of like, okay, he's going to be on the trading block or he's not going to be on this team next season. Those rumors circling around for the last, several months. And so what I want to point out is that at this point, right, at this point in the whole situation with Cam Whitmore, when I see that you're going to trade him for non-player assets, to me is a little bit underwhelming, right? Is it's not exactly what you want because he is a great player, right? I feel like he can have a solid role where he plays a little bit more this season. He's going to be able to learn from a guy like Kevin Durant. He's going to learn more defensive principles from a guy like Dorian Finney-Smith. You add those guys to this roster, and so I feel like he's slowly growing to be that player and can be that player. But at the same time, we hear these constant trade talks, and so to hear that there's rumors circling around that you're going to trade him, right? That is the first kind of sign of like, oh no. Second, non-player assets. You're not going to get any players in return. Probably be future first-round picks or second-round picks, whatever it may be, cash. And so that is all a little underwhelming. It's underwhelming that it has gone to this point where there really is no turning back. To the point where I myself am kind of in favor of trading him now. Because if you think about it, why would Cam Whitmore want to come back next season? Why would he want to? Yes, to win a championship, you're going to play with KD, all those things. But at the same time, from the front office perspective, you are getting the vibe that they're not vibing with you. That they don't necessarily see you as a key guy to be on this team. Because again, they're going to trade you for reportedly cash and some future draft, non-player assets, right? And so, to me, if I'm Cam Whitmore, yes, I would love to be coached by Udoka, and he's one of the best coaches in the NBA. Yes, I would love to play with Kevin Durant and stick around with these young guys who I can relate to, Şengün, Nauman Thompson. But at the same time, right, are you being valued? He knows earlier in that season that he was not being valued at the way that he felt like he should have, right? Like, why wasn't he playing minutes? Why? And I feel like over time, it's just gotten worse and worse. Not drastically. I wouldn't say that like it's like a complete falling out. How some players can't stand whatever team they were on. I don't think it's anything like that by any means. Like Cam Whitmore has respect for this organization. I'm sure of it. But at the same time, does he feel like he is being valued and getting better as the days go on? Right. When he hears his name in constant trade talks, is that a team you do want to play for? Next season. And so I feel like that's a serious question that's probably circulating through his camp. It has to be present in his mind. And so it all is just very, very unfortunate, right? Because Cam Whitmore is a fantastic player. Offensively, he can do a lot of things, but at the same time, right, there's holes in his game defensively and making him a better all-around player. And so that is kind of where I stand, right? I would have loved to not have traded him, but I feel like at this point, you kind of have to, right? Like with all these things going around, I feel like you have to do it at this point to kind of filter out any of the negative energy between players. Again, not saying that Cam Whitmore is an awful human being, by no means am I saying that, but you want to have a team that is in fact like all on the same page. Nobody's questioning roles. Nobody is worried that they're going to be traded, at the trade deadline next season. You will have this team to be an all-around team. And so, in my opinion, I do think the front office at this point should trade Cam Whitmore. Do I think, non-player assets is the best way to go? Not necessarily. But I do think a Cam Whitmore trade is going to happen within the next couple of days, months, whatever it may be. And so one of the other things that I want to point out were teams that were interested in Cam Whitmore. What would a trade possibly look like between them? The Bulls and Nuggets are some of those teams that are interested. And so I expect the Nuggets, honestly, as from the way that they're navigating their offseason, to make a offer for Cam. And so that is my prediction in terms of the team he plays next for. He'll earn 3.54 million in 2025-2026 with a team option for 26-27 worth $5.46 million. So hopefully this situation all gets figured out with Cam Whitmore. Ultimately, I do think the Houston Rockets decide to trade him. I feel like they'll solidify that at some point this offseason. Just do not know when. But let me know in the comments what you think. Do you think I'm wrong? Do you think we should keep him? Do you think it's still salvageable? This relationship between Cam Whitmore and the organization? What do you think about all of it? Let me know in the comments. What is the best sense of direction for Cam Whitmore and the Houston Rockets? Let me know. And as always, if you have not hit that subscribe button, go ahead, hit that button below. We've got you covered all off season with all the latest news regarding your H-Town team, the Houston Rockets. So let me know. We'll see you next time on the next episode of Rockets Digest. Everybody take care. Adios.